Hey guys, this is the Iron Grips podcast with myself, John, Coach Marco. We're here with superstar Dani Means today, world champion powerlifter, VP of the Hybrid Gym Group.
Jiu-Jitsu white belt.
Just happens to be my wife. I can wear less if that would get us more hits, more views.
Absolutely. In LA, yeah, for sure.
Not as cut as you. Just take your shirt off. I feel bad about myself.
If you guys just sit here topless, like I feel like that's,
oh my god,
that would
like dad bod and
take this to the next
the
level.
Terminator.
On today's episode, we have Dani Means, badass powerlifter, jiu-jitsu newbie, dare I say?
Belt.
Yeah,
Just definitely white belt.
Also, the VP of the Hybrid Gym Group.
An overall badass. All right, so
that's an intro.
I finally convinced you to come in and sit down with us and talk with us. For those of you guys who don't know, this guy is her husband, her other half, and also now trainer. You guys have been training together?
He's been my coach since 2015, 16. It's been a long time.
All right. And how long have you guys been
somehow
married?
Still talking to each other.
It's basically since then.
Yeah, about then. I don't know dates. You'll have to.
We kind of met because we were training. We started training together. I know he hit me up on Facebook.
Slid into the DMs.
That's
we were just talking about this
literally
earlier.
what he did. He slid into
Wow.
my DMs, and I was like, sorry. Who are you? I don't believe I know
I think
you.
you'll find I friend requested you. I didn't actually send you a message.
No, you
And
friend
then you
requested
messaged me back saying, "Do I know you?" And I was like, "Oh, interesting."
You
Not
will.
that before.
You will know me.
Yeah, no, basically. And then we ended up meeting up for coffee. We ended up doing some. I was doing CrossFit at the time, and we ended up doing some CrossFit workouts together, and just kind of hit it off from day one,
Nice.
really, in Hong Kong.
Oh, so you guys met in Hong Kong?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Okay, I didn't get that from your story. Okay. I don't know why I thought you guys met in LA for some reason. You were already in LA when you guys were starting to work together, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, just sorting out some details, because, yeah.
We met.
A lot's happened in the last few years.
Okay.
Since we met, a lot's happened, right? We've had a bit of a crazy.
It's been a whirlwind. Yeah, we met in Hong Kong. We moved in together, and then John got a job offer to move to Sydney. So then that was kind of a big turning point in our relationship, where I was like, all right.
Yeah, you guys did the long distance thing, huh? For a
yeah,
bit.
I mean, we both didn't really want to. I think previously we had didn't really believe in long distance relationships.
Yeah.
But then the idea was for me to eventually move to Sydney with him. So that was kind of the plan.
Oh, wow.
So we were doing long distance. We were probably seeing each other every.
You flew over quite a bit. You
Quite
did quite
frequently,
well.
yeah. We were seeing each other every 4 months, I think, 4 or 5 months.
Yeah.
And then his visa basically didn't come through for Australia. So then at that point, I had gotten a job offer for LA. John had to pit stop in Singapore for a short period, and during that time, that was kind of when hybrid kind of came about. And then eventually you finally got yourself over here, and I joined hybrid.
Yeah, I'm happy you guys ended up here. I think I said this in the episode too. That it was kind of like a happen chance that we happened to be an SPG. He landed in California or in LA, and then he found us, and then through that we convinced you to start training, and now you're a force to be reckoned with on the mats, messing everybody up.
Trying to.
Yeah. I think
Being told you're strong after every round.
Being told you're strong.
Yeah, you have my curse. It's
so
okay.
strong.
It's heartbreaking learning in jiu-jitsu that's not a compliment.
You know, but every once in a while, if you're me, you wish somebody would just say you're strong.
It
doesn't
all depends
happen.
on how it's said, but I've had 15 years of it, so just get used to it, because it's not going to change.
All right.
You're not going to all of a sudden become weak, so just get used to the fact that that's what everyone's going to say.
I'll take it.
Yeah, and I think now everybody knows that Jon's technique is really good. So now we're just trying to make him feel bad.
Now it's just habit. It's just habit. It's so strong.
So your position here in LA with the company Hybrid, your gym Hybrid, it's Hybrid Gym LA or Hybrid LA?
Hybrid Gym LA.
Hybrid Gym LA, yeah, because I wanted to put that out there so it's clear to everybody, because there's another Hybrid gym in Pasadena when I look you guys up.
There's a few, yeah. We realised when we got here, especially to LA, we Googled. In fact, we didn't really realise just how popular the word hybrid is. Like, obviously it's a popular word, but it's...
Well, then ever since, post-COVID as well.
Usual start with the business, right? You create the business, you create the name, and it's not really until afterwards you start looking at all the... Oh, actually, there's a load of businesses. Like even in Hong Kong, we created the name, and then there's another promotions company, events company that's got the same name as us, and you're like, so all of a sudden you kind of, it's really hard to running it back and thinking, would you start a business again by running up names, then doing your homework? Is there a lot of them? Is it going to conflict?
Yeah.
But you don't think that way at the time. You kind of create the name and go for it, and then once you're in it, you're like, oh, okay, there's a load of others, and now
you start learning about SEO and keywords and AdWords and all that stuff, and then you're like, oh.
Once you're in.
Once you're in. Yeah. Domain names and all that stuff. So
yeah, that's why when we started the podcast, we just came up with the name. My wife was like, we're buying the domain, we're gonna get the Facebook, the Instagram, we're gonna get the Twitter. She's like, we're just gonna take all of it now. Because when I created Speakeasy Jiu-Jitsu, I was the only Speakeasy Jiu-Jitsu. Created in 2019 or whatever. I was the only one. And then suddenly COVID hit, and everybody was like, Jiu-Jitsu Speakeasy BJJ. So I started taking all the Instagrams for all the other names as well. And I bought all the domains for all the other stuff, and someone got the Speakeasy Jiu-Jitsu podcast. Someone got I'm not going to create a podcast for Speakeasy, but still
it's good to have. You never know, right?
But I think I flooded everything so much, even with their hashtag, that my stuff was coming out.
Right.
That they kind of just stopped, and I feel bad. But it was when you put so much time and effort into something, it's yours, and you take so much pride in it that you don't want anybody else.
No, it's your baby.
Yeah, it's.
But you forget, right, that we get into all these issues with this stuff, and you forget that we don't. Although there's copyright and there's all these legalities around some of this stuff, we kind of don't own words.
No, we don't.
But unfortunately, the perception is always that if there's already a company out there with that word or with that wording within your name, unless you can come up with something really unique, like Straight Blast Gym would be very obvious if someone copied it.
Yeah.
Right?
Like Marco's Jiu-Jitsu House would be.
But there's some words, like in the fitness industry, that we've come up against where things like, if you've got performance in your name or things like this, you're like, well, that's a really common word in the fitness industry, and you might want it off the back of your name because that's your model, that's what you do, but you start looking at what else is out there, and you don't want to look like you've copied, so then you're trying to find different names when it's really hard. I think it's with some industries it's hard to come up with something that unique that no one else is going to come up with. And if it is really unique, someone else has already got it. Like there's some cool names out there for different things. I'm like, fuck, that's a good name.
It was hard because actually, though, we started in Hong Kong as hybrid MMA and fitness. But then that didn't really capture the personal training aspect of what we were doing, and didn't really tell a whole lot in terms of the group training and just how in depth we go with nutrition and getting results and fat loss and muscle building and all that stuff. So,
and to be fair, it was me that pushed for that. So when we created the company, I was the one pushing for the hybrid MMA and fitness because I was worried that the MMA wouldn't work or people wouldn't realise we're an MMA gym because of obviously the emphasis on personal training. And I was like, look, if we don't capture the MMA market and we don't have it in our name, no one's going to know, and this side of our business might struggle. And as it turned out, it kind of was almost the complete opposite, because you realise that most MMA gyms, especially in Hong Kong, for instance, they don't compete highly for SEO words and keywords and things. So we smashed the marketing out the park when it came to MMA in Hong Kong. Personal training was more of a problem because personal training, there's God knows how many gyms in Hong Kong that do PT and do personal training similar to how we do things, and they're all competing for the keywords. So in
one area.
So the cost of that for a business is really high in order to get that. So it's kind of looking back, I was like, I didn't need to be so hung up on the MMA side. but I was, because I didn't want it to fail.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like, we need it in the name. People need to instantly go, oh, MMA and fitness. That's what they do.
Yeah.
As it's turned out, and that's why we've kind of progressed into the hybrid gym thing, because now we were like, okay, great, we have the MMA, we have the boxing stuff, but I don't want to be pigeonholed in it, because personal training is our biggest driver from a financial point of view, and if we confuse that part, that's where we struggle, and that's where we struggle financially. So that was where we kind of started to switch things a little bit and go, look.
Well, and then we also opened up LA, and we decided to pivot away from doing an MMA gym here, and decided to just stick with boxing. So that was also a consideration with the name change.
A lot less mats needed for boxing, so you need the square footage for mats with like MMA and jiu-jitsu. So.
Yeah, and that's what we didn't have, and I didn't want to like half-ass it, so we were kind of like, look, personal training is going to be a simpler business model. It's what we know, and again, it's creating the business model that you don't always need to necessarily be there long term to run it. Like the MMA and fitness side that we found, especially with Hong Kong a little bit, it takes a lot of experts.
Yeah.
You know, and there's only me really within the business, I guess, that kind of understands all the different sides and has the MMA skills, but you can't be there all the time. You know, so I didn't want to create LA with end up with the same thing whereby I'm like, okay, well, if I'm not there, how are we going to run this gym? I want to be able to build gym managers that can run the gym, because they don't have to be an MMA expert, they don't necessarily even have to be a boxing expert, they just have to understand one-on-one professionalism, how we do it, and how to hire good people to do things. And
there's a lot of people in LA that are really good at boxing or kickboxing. It's the other side of it that know how to run a business or know how to talk to people that's hard to find. So I know, I've been there.
Bizarre.
So business is going good. They have a beautiful fucking gym here in LA, and I'm jealous because I have this square box with just mats, but I still have to get down there too. I just see the photos and the videos, and I was talking to John about doing one of the podcasts at your gym.
That'd be fun.
For
sure.
When it's a little bit of downtime, maybe at like 3 a.m. or something, when you're not crazy busy. You guys are always super busy.
But that's the problem for everyone, right? It's time. I keep talking to different people. I need to come down and check the gym out and do it, but we're all so not far away, but like the drive and the
5 miles in LA.
When you're busy, it's just like, okay, if I'm even going to nip over there for an hour,
traffic.
You're talking 2 or 3 hours.
It's a commitment.
So
It's a commitment.
Yeah.
No.
So your position at the gym, you're obviously a trainer, you're an athlete, and you're also the manager of the gym.
Yep.
Nice. That's you're set.
She does it all. She does it all.
I'm busy.
That's good. Busy's good, because I know there was a time when, especially the beginning of COVID, where none of us were that busy.
No, I mean, we were still kind of doing a lot of stuff with the team in Hong Kong and trying to help out there from a distance as much as we can. But then obviously since LA has ramped up and opened and got, we're getting busier and busier, it's kind of trying to let the guys there, like we have a team of 25?
In Hong Kong?
Yeah 25 coaches in Hong Kong and trainers. So it's more just letting them handle things, and we recently opened up a second facility there this month. So just letting them handle things.
That one looks great too. I've been seeing the photos of that one.
Yeah, so it's an amazing location, that second one. Like the views out the windows are like, it's stunning. I mean, obviously I've not been able to travel and see it, but it looks amazing. And look, we've got a good team over there now. Like it took about 3 years, but to really find the right key people to kind of run it. The whole team's great, but it takes certain individuals that actually have the kind of, I guess, the want and the knowledge, and then the skills, and then the patience to kind of learn how to kind of run the business a little bit, manage the teams and that sort of stuff. We've got some good people now. So at the moment we're in a good place in Hong Kong, I think, with the guys that we've got, where we can start to let them do their thing a little bit. I'll never not stress, and my business partner's the same. He'll never not stress about it, but we're trying slowly to go, look, the goal was to build gyms and build gym managers that can pretty much run it themselves, with us overseeing. The same ideas in place for LA, trying to get to that point rather than having to like kind of be the one. Like if I was doing this, I've done the gym manager route, we've talked about all this sort of stuff and running businesses and things like this, but I want to build this now for other people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I spoke to my business partners even about the LA thing. That the LA setup is for Dani.
Yeah.
You know, she's got
been
so
a steep
much
learning
further to go with her career. It's like, yeah, I don't want to be. And it's not that I don't want to be. That sounds off. It's like I'm in a time in my life where I don't crave the spotlight. You know, sometimes when you create a gym, I know if I had done this 10 or 15 years ago, I'd have been like, I would have been me. I'd have been the face of it. I want to be all over it. And I still have a bit of
tiring,
that
man.
To a certain degree. But if I was to look at my next 10 years and go, look, the success of the gym would purely be built on Jon Bond and what he does and what he's about and everything. Like, I've got to have an involvement in that, because obviously, you know, what the gyms do, I have to believe in what we're doing, the culture, the community, all that sort of stuff kind of has to come from me. But at the same time, I don't look at the next 10 years kind of going, right, if I've got to be that's a lot of work. I want to be able to create that for other people. If other people can buy into what I'm about and deliver and build the gyms, and I can just watch that grow to a certain degree, then that's more where I'm at in my career. 10 years ago, not a chance. I would have been like, this is all about me. I want my face on absolutely everything. But it's not where I'm at now so much. And it's a new world, the social media side of it, the Instagram, like it's...
Is that always you posting, or is that...
No, we have a team.
Or someone else.
It's someone else? Man, you guys are so lucky.
Yeah,
That's like...
Delegated. Well, even with that kind of thing, it's finding the right person who has an eye for it, who understands social media, who can write.
Dani's done a lot of that though. So although she doesn't do it now, like when we did a lot for Hong Kong at one point.
I was doing a lot of stuff remotely.
So she was posting everything for Hong Kong, and then we found someone that could kind of take that over, and that Dani spent a lot of time kind of getting her to understand kind of the culture, and now she's took that on and kind of made it her own. We're lucky in LA. We've got our head boxing coach Steph's really into all that sort of stuff. He'd be a good guy to get on the podcast. He's got an amazing story at some point, especially if we do it at our gym. But he's really into all that sort of stuff, and he's kind of stepped up. Like, I was looking at his own social media and the amount of followers he's got, and just the way he does it. And I was like, okay, this guy's kind of got something. So he's been really good for us. So he's took over a lot of that this last couple of weeks. So we've been evolving. It started out a bit rocky, finding our way with it, even though we have a brand and we have the way we do it in Hong Kong, and we're trying to do something a bit different in LA, and obviously initially no clients in the gym, so then it's really hard. Like all your stuff's trainers, and then to me, I always think it's obvious that that's all your trainers and it's not clients. You need to see clients in the gym. So it's getting better now. Now we've got clients, and so he's doing all the social media stuff for us as well, which is really cool. So kind of takes the edge off us. And then they love the camera stuff. Like, I'm amazed, like, you know, in Hong Kong it was different. You know, the coaches want to coach, they don't want to do it. But here we've got guys, everyone's doing their own thing a little bit, so they've all got the high-end cameras.
It's LA. Everyone's got their
exactly.
They've
all got this stuff,
their flashy
like high-end cameras,
their microphones. They know how to edit.
So they're walking around the gym like it's great. Our
Welcome
gym,
to LA.
I know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Our gym on a daily basis is like a film shoot. Like,
cool.
They're walking around, and you know, I'll be coaching on the pads, and next thing one of the trainers is there filming bits and stuff. It's just getting done. So it's a nice place to be.
I feel like I work with a bunch of people who are social media adverse. Like Matt Parks doesn't post crap on Instagram really ever, and London, Dakota, they post here and there, but it's like, and even myself, I struggle with posting every day, and I look up to you guys, and I'm always looking at what's Hybrid doing, what's Jon Bond doing, what's Dani doing. I can't post photos of myself. It's hard for me to post photos of myself.
And I'm lucky at the moment because a lot of stuff's getting done. Like you say, it's only because like the guys in the gym. I mean, I'm kind of torn sometimes because some days they're in there and they're filming the whole workout and they've got the stands out, and I'm just like, fuck's sake, just train. Right? But at the same time, I'm kind of going, okay, the fact that they're good at that and they're into that, that's benefiting the business because they're also then doing that when clients are in, and it's just. For the first time, it's the first gym I've ever had where this stuff's kind of just getting done and they want to do it. Normally, you have to remind people, like you said, they're not really into that side of thing. I'm the same. You know, when I was first, introduced to social media, in fact, I think going back, it was Carl at SBG when I was first training there. He set up my Facebook and Instagram.
No way.
Oh wow!
Because I wouldn't do it. I was like, no, I'm not into all that shit. Blah 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 blah. And I walked in one day and he went, here. Here's you, because I was doing all the conditioning stuff there.
So people need to know you.
Yeah, he's like, here's your fucking email address. because he created an SBG conditioning email address because I was doing all that stuff.
Yeah.
He's like, there's your Facebook login, there's your Instagram login, start
Wow.
fucking posting stuff.
That's
I mean,
great.
I had to do it.
Which is why I lost
think
all my logins. And
I got
that game,
Instagram
but-
as when I was like fresh out of university and I got my first job.
Mhm.
So my first job, I was working in PR and marketing. And so obviously as part of that,
Yeah.
my boss is like, right, you got to get Instagram, you
Yeah.
got to get all over
Yeah.
this, you got to look at Twitter, you got to look. So I've got a very old Twitter account that I don't use, but it's all these things and just kind of looking at influencers. And
Mhm.
this was in Hong Kong, so it was nothing compared to the U.S. In terms of followers and influencers and that kind of thing, but still having an appreciation for what influence, what drive they have in brands and marketing and whatnot. So that was something that I kind of learned pretty early on.
If you want to be an influencer, it's almost a full-time job to just do that. And I
Yeah.
think you guys are doing it really well as like a part-time job. at least from,
Doesn't pay the bills, but it
Yeah.
helps get people in the door, which would then
For us,
pay the bills.
it's all awareness.
Yeah.
Like, we
Yeah,
just have to
it's free
try and
marketing.
create as much
Yeah.
awareness
It's
as
free
possible
marketing. You
about what we do, what we're about, and hope that sticks with
Yeah.
some people.
I had a guy come in, I don't know, a year ago, 2 years ago, and he actually signed up for the gym, and he was like really excited to be here, and it was like, cool. 2 weeks after he signed up, he was like, I've seen all of your YouTube videos. I was like, what? He was like, yeah, I've seen all of Speakeasy. Like, I've seen everything. It was really cool, but like really strange at the same
Yeah,
time.
yeah, yeah.
I'm like,
You're
okay, well,
stalking
it's
me.
working. So something's
Self-conscious all of a sudden, like.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that kind of leads me into one of my questions that I wanted to talk about a little bit. We've got heavily onto your career early on. What do you find, other than having to deal with me on a daily basis? Running hybrid, being in the position you're in as a part owner of the business and everything, what have you found? What do you find the hardest? What do you find the most stressful and most challenging about the position you're in right now?
Turning off from work. I get very stuck into things. So you wake up and first thing you're thinking about is I got to do this, and this. So then you get started working on something, and then something else comes your way that gets thrown at you, whether it's a client, whether it's a trainer, whether it's a coach, or it's looking at your social media ads, or some business development opportunity, and then you look up and 4 hours have gone by and you're like, shit, what have I actually done? What have I done that's brought dollars in to the business? And then for me, kind of peeling myself away from work to then do something like train. I have a really hard time. He literally has to like book me to be like, right, what time are we training tomorrow?
Yeah.
Let me know, and then we'll do that. And even then, I have a hard time kind of getting around to that. I'm not very good at, I guess, compartmentalizing. So I'm terrible. Like, I'll work at the dinner table and I'll eat my meals while staring at my laptop, and typing away, doing emails. So I think that aspect of it, like I would very happily work late into the night. I'll work until like midnight, but fortunately this guy has me going to bed at like 9:30 now.
Maybe 10.
Maybe 10
when
when he's yeah.
But I think that's like, it's hard. These things are hard because you say that like it's a negative thing, the amount you work right now. But again, at the same time, there's a time in your life when that's kind of necessary. But I think, what can be our strength can also be a weakness. So like you say, where I see what you do as a strength is where me and you are very different, and this is something that you're very, very good at, is like you will, if you can't work out how to do something, you start Googling it, you start learning how to do it. So you do an awful lot of learning how to do something whilst doing it.
Oh yeah.
And that's the rabbit holes you go down, and that's why sometimes things take you a long time, because she's like, I don't know how to do this, but I'm doing it. It might take me 4 hours, and you'll sit, you'll research, you'll work it out, you'll look at how to do it, and you go, look what I've created. But then you know how to do it. Whereas what I do is I go, I don't know how to do that, who does?
Which is usually me.
And I go and find someone. I'm like, right, you need to do that. I know what we need. I know what what we need to set up, what needs to happen, what needs to work. But I will go, I'm not going to sit and try and work out how to do this. You are, or whatever. But it's a strength on my side if I can get people to do it, and I can find the right people to do it, because it creates time for me. But it's a weakness in that I actually never fully learn how to do it. Certain things I just know what needs to be done. I know if something's good, if it's bad, if it's somewhere in the middle. Whereas you actually go away, and especially if it's anything to do with our sort of admin setup, you know, and you've gone away and you've learnt it for yourself, so you know exactly how it needs to be done. The next challenge for you eventually will be handing those things on.
Yeah, for sure.
Because once you've learned it and done it, you take ownership
of it.
You don't trust
anybody.
There, that becomes a problem.
No,
then
I literally don't.
Then you don't trust anyone else to do it. Which, look, you know, we've run, you know, gyms for long enough, and we've had enough staff to show that we shouldn't trust anyone.
No, I've worked with companies.
They're not going to do it as good as
you.
Not
giving me hope.
No. Yeah. It's a process,
it
right? I think the hardest process to delegation is understanding that delegation is not, here you go, you do it. You know, as a manager or an owner or whatever, if you're going to delegate, there's a process to giving something away, and this is what people don't understand. Sometimes you want to give away the shit jobs, right? You want to give away the shit you don't like doing. The problem is you also want to give it away as fast as possible. So when you found someone that's kind of, you think's quite good at it, maybe going to be able to help out, it's like boom, off you go. And then you don't check on it for a month, and then you realise first of all, you didn't teach them, so it's not their fault. It's your fault. You didn't teach them how to do it fully. Then you left them to it, and then you didn't check if it was being done. And I have these conversations all the time. Like, the process to letting something go is, first of all, show them. How many times you need to do it with them until you're confident they can actually do it. Show them the whole process. Then check it every single week for X amount of times to make sure it's being done. Then when you're confident, right, then I'm going to let go.
Yeah, so the first person that I really, I guess, kind of did that with or trusted was Tiffany in Hong Kong, who does all of our marketing and social media for Hybrid there. But you know, she came on board. I was here. I've worked with her before, so it was, you know, weekly calls of, okay, is this getting done? Is this getting done? Following up, chasing, making sure that there are deadlines in place. So, you know, that's a big part of, I guess, any management type of position. But yeah, no, I agree in terms of I go down rabbit holes of figuring out things and wanting to understand things. Yeah. I kind of describe myself as a jack of all trades, master of none. Definite master of none.
If you can do something pretty good but not perfect, I think it's okay.
Yeah, you'll never. I don't think anyone can ever say, you know, even like anyone that runs any business, if you can turn around and say that you can do absolutely everything in that business better than every single one of your members of staff, you're probably not doing a very good job at hiring the right talent, cultivating the right talent, and, you know, and growing the right people. Because if you've got a business that has an awful lot of areas within it, like, I'm never gonna, you know, go, okay, I can do the marketing better than anybody else. Like, no, I hire people to do it well. I know what I like. I know what I want it to look like. I know what I want it to feel like. I know what looks good, and I know what makes me cringe when I see it. That's my role, right? Because my name is attached to what we're trying to achieve, right? But I'm not a marketing expert, right? I'm not, you know, what other people have we kind of got, you know, anything to do with admin and things. It's like, am I personable on reception and things? Yeah, I can do it all, but at the same time, I'd like my receptionists to be better, or front of house people or whatever than I am at it, because that's what I pay them for, and you create the culture and so on. So I just know what's good, what's elite, what's average, you know, and what standards we're trying to create. It's my job to try and create those standards and get everyone to work up to it. But I expect people to do things that you know, in their area better than me. Yeah. What they might not be able to do is see the big picture and run the whole business better than me, or Dean, same thing. There's things that he does from being able to, you know, look at it as an umbrella where he can pick, because of his experience, where we need to look at, where we need to improve. Does it mean he's going to like do the whole thing himself better than anybody else? Not necessarily, but it's his job to kind of go, oh, look, these are the holes, this is how we can improve it, this is how we can get it better, but it's your job to make it better. You know?
You're very good at building gyms. I have to say.
I do enjoy that part.
You're very good at building.
That's the exciting
gyms.
part. Yeah, I've built, or helped build. Kempo Fit was the first gym. I helped do like the 3.0 version of that, and then get the students in. Then we came to this location. We only had this side, and we changed our name to Jitsu Fit, and then it was a completely new gym, and we stepped away from like karate and Kempo and all that, and we focused on jiu-jitsu. So we built that gym, and then we got the second side. We're still Jitsu Fit, and then we joined SPG, built that gym, and then I would consider me taking on the gym through COVID would be like the fourth iteration of the gym, and it just keeps.
Well, yeah, I mean, you facelifted this place, right?
Completely different, man.
Yeah,
You know,
you did a
completely
serious
work.
job. Yeah.
Yeah. I really wanted the gym to reflect my team, myself, and California and LA and all of that.
No, you
so
nailed it.
I wanted when they came here, like,
Yeah.
this is SPG SoCal, and
Yeah.
and it feels just like any other SPG in instruction, but it's kind of like, you know, when you go to a different Starbucks and you want to collect the Starbucks coffee mugs. I have a couple of friends that do that. Like, yeah, I want that feeling when you come
Nice.
in. And
There's something about certain places, like that's the thing that and another kind of reason we pivoted with the hybrid gym and the hybrid gym group name was so that, you know, when we do go into other cities and as we expand, you know, we have ideas of kind of Sydney, London, and even more in Asia. Like, we wanted that opportunity to make each one a little unique as well, and kind of like, I'm a big fan of you know, kind of honouring the cities we're in. LA's got something a bit more than probably anywhere else. You want to make it LA, you know, hence you know, the Kobe up in the gym and all of this stuff. It's just this thing that people go, okay, you know, I'm not from Los Angeles, I'm not from the US. In fact, half the members that come in think I'm from Australia. I've had that about.
I get so many
times
people
now.
saying, John's from Australia, right?
Yeah, and
no,
I think, you know, the connection
break.
of Australia and SPG over there, people just assume that that's where I kind of came from. But I think it's the accent. People, especially in America, for some reason, they definitely hear Australian and the British accent very similar, even though it's kind of worlds apart.
Well, the British accent, in particular, when I went to London, it's very different. Like in the areas that you grow up in,
Yeah.
or
I was
where
gonna say
you're from.
it's your
But-
northern accent.
Yeah, and I think the UK, more than most countries, the accents, you can go an hour down the road. Like Manchester and Liverpool, two completely different.
Liverpool.
And then you go towards Scotland, which is only a few hours away. Like, it's not from Manchester to Scotland, it's like a two and a half
Scottish
hour
accents
drive.
are great.
Oh, I love them.
You know, and it's totally different. Then you've got the Welsh, and so of all the countries, I don't know whether. I mean, obviously it's difficult when I don't understand other languages. But of all the countries I know have been in, like the like you say, the accents in the UK are just off the charts.
They're wild.
There's so many.
I had a harder time understanding people in England than I did in Scotland.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was because we were rooming with one of my with my uncle now. He's my age, and we were staying with him in his flat in London, and he had two roommates, and one of them grew up in a more posh area, so his accent was cool. And then we go down the street, we go out to dinner, and then people have really harsh accents, or sometimes like my Uncle Ben will say something and I have no idea what he's saying. Or like when John gets really excited.
Yeah, no one understands me.
I'm like nodding and then I'm like, okay,
I have to translate for the team sometimes.
Yes.
Like things that he says.
Yeah.
Or like clients will be like, I have no idea what he just said to me. I'm like, don't worry.
Yeah.
It's fine.
I've gotten better at understanding because we spent so much time together. I've listened to you talk so much now, and now I'm kind of like, you know, when, like people how when they understand like brothers or sisters, or like when they get really excited, you just know what they're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm happy
I've
that
just
we've
not been able
developed
to
that.
ever change my accent.
You don't have
the
to.
way no, I know. So I just wonder. But my brother, like he's slowed right down. Like my brother, when he came out to the States years and years and years ago, you know, he came out and I mean the acting thing probably helped because he did a lot of different, I guess, voices and whatnot.
Is he here?
To act. Yeah, he lives in Seattle.
He's in Seattle.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Is he as big and strong?
No, he's complete opposite.
He's the
proper,
opposite.
Yeah, he's proper Duracell cardio. He's into cardio, Pilates.
Awesome.
He's got a Pilates studio in
He's
Seattle.
he's proper Duracell.
Like
cardio.
Duracell battery, cardio bunny, whatever you want to call it.
I didn't even pick that up.
Yeah, no, that's to
Like-
translate.
So you-
Duracell, like the battery.
Yeah, that's in the Duracell battery. The
cardio bunny.
So he's into running. He runs.
Brilliant.
He'll run for hours. And like I was telling one of the guys the other day, like he used to drive me nuts. Like he's like OCD. You can just go out and skip for like 30 minutes. Wouldn't even put a timer on. Like if I'm going to skip, I've got to put rounds on. He'd go out 30 minutes. Just
Wait, skip like
skipping.
Jump rope.
Okay.
Jump rope. Sorry. Again.
I was like,
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
No, jump rope. And you just like how? So, but that's the same thing with running and stuff. So he's more into more endurance based stuff.
Oh, cool.
Tried the weights a bit here and there, you know.
he'd be good at jiu-jitsu then.
Most likely,
Yeah.
and he does a lot of Pilates stuff. So body
I've
control.
always hated cardio. My dad's from Oregon,
Mhm.
and so he used to work for Nike. He still makes shoes, running shoes.
Oh, wow.
He's based out in Vietnam, but he always wanted me to be a runner, distance
Yeah.
runner, and I hated it. I absolutely hated it.
The only times we fall out over lots of different things here and there, but the most consistent we've fallen out with always when we've gone running together. She can't cope that I can start running and not know how far I'm going.
I'm
kills me.
kind of the same.
And she's like, you said
We'll
four.
go running together, and he'll be like, "Yeah, just a little further. We'll just run a little further." I'm
She
like,
wants to know exactly when we're turning, exactly when we're finished, how long we go. I'm like,
I need an end point.
It's
I
a
need
journey.
like this is
Yeah.
no.
and I can hear her behind me like whinging and complaining and being like, well, I'm turning here then.
Yeah.
You turn there then. I'm carrying on going.
Kills me.
Yeah. I'm okay with like just putting the treadmill on and just going and going, because you hit like a stride, and like just like with training, if you stop or take a rest round, it's almost worse. So you just keep going.
Yeah.
And then what I hate is whenever I've done outdoor running, I'll just run, and then I'm like, okay, now I'm tired, I'm done. Now I gotta go back.
Yeah.
I never do loops.
Yeah.
It's just like straight or like a curve, but it's never like no plan to ever come back. And this is my fault.
Yeah, no, you've got to have a loop. Like, you've got to at least have a loop. If you're not sure how far you're going to go, you at least have to have a loop. You can always go
I just don't
again.
put myself in that situation.
No.
Yeah, just don't run.
Hence why I lift.
So, you recently did a couple competitions,
Yeah.
and you killed it. You did awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, you broke a record, right? In one of them? Or you at one of the competitions, the person who
The person who beat
beat
you
you,
broke
yeah,
Yeah,
broke
she
the
broke
record.
a record.
Okay.
But no, I did 2 competitions in March, and then I just did the national championships, where I placed 3rd in the U.S. in my category.
That is fucking amazing.
Yeah,
is great.
no, was pleased with that. Just because it's one of the biggest competitions that I've done in a while. I've done Asia championships before in another federation, and I won that. And then I've also done a world championship in another federation in 2018, and I won that. So this is the federation that I'm in now, USPA, is a much bigger federation. So to place 3rd was, pleased with.
Yeah, that's great.
But I've just signed up for the World Championships, which will be on November 4th. So
That's coming up.
yeah, that's coming up.
Yeah.
So getting ready for that.
So what does... See, I know what it takes to prepare for a jiu-jitsu tournament or competition. I have no idea what it takes to prepare for lifting weights, or... I'm going to sound like a complete idiot right now because, I mean, I'm like SpongeBob when I lift weights and my arms pop off. But like, is there like a standard that you're doing, certain amount of reps? Is there a certain... I have no idea what I'm even fucking
So it's
saying
one
right now.
rep. It's
One rep.
it's
Whoa.
squat, your heaviest squat, your heaviest bench, and your heaviest deadlift.
And there's no like building up. It's just you go out there
You
and...
get 3 attempts.
Oh, you get 3 attempts.
So you get 3 attempts on each lift. So, and the spanner in the works is that the weights can't go down. So whatever you open with, so if I decide that, okay, I'm going to squat 225 pounds for my first attempt. If I fail that, I can't drop the weight.
Can you do that?
Yes.
Oh my god.
220, yeah. Yeah, no, we did some testing this week, and I did 315.
I want to do some testing.
Yeah.
That's how
it's
weak I am.
exhausting. It's exhausting.
Okay, so you start at 225 on your first one, and if you do okay with that, then you're like,
then you
okay,
can go
let's
heavier.
add some more.
But the thing is that you don't want to necessarily you wouldn't really put like 50 pounds on the bar, because that's a big jump.
10,
Maybe. Yeah.
5.
Yeah. Well, it depends on what different people have different like that's more confidence, I guess, and what kind of your central nervous system is kind of adapted for, like what you feel comfortable with. I think we found that for squat and for deadlift, I'm mostly comfortable with like 15-pound jumps.
Wow.
Typically, so yeah, and then so your first attempt would always be a lift that you're confident that you're gonna get. You want to nail that.
A little heavy, but you're gonna get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And then your second attempt is like, okay, I've hit this in the gym before. It's probably on my limit, but I can do it. I've done it before. I can do it. And then your third attempt would be like, all right, adrenaline's pumping, competition, like let's go. It's go time. So that's kind of my method, or that's kind of what we typically do. And then you'll probably have an hour break in between the squat and the bench press. Bench press, you would have probably smaller jumps, just because it's typically a lift that people can't, you can't squat as much as you can bench. So percentage-wise, it'll be similar in terms of the jumps. But that was good. We did some testing on that this week as well, and grinded out 200 pounds.
In a bench press?
Yeah.
So, bit of a PB in the
That
gym.
was-
About two personal bests in the gym this week. So,
Yeah.
Wow.
powerlifting is kind of it's an interesting sport. It's boring to watch. It's the worst sport in living history to
Well,
watch.
he says it's
to a certain
comparable to
degree.
jiu-jitsu
It's a bit
in
like
terms of a
jiu-jitsu.
spectator sport.
Yeah, it's for me.
I
I
mean,
mean,
yeah.
I'm not I'm openly say that watching jiu-jitsu.
Some
is
jiu-jitsu
boring,
is like boring as.
But powerlifting, there's kind of more going on than there looks like there's going on, and I think so. The guys, everyone warms up in the back, so you don't walk out completely cold for that first lift.
Yeah.
You warm up to a certain number, and then you know that the next lift's going to be out on the stage. But not only are you kind of in your head, it's like this.
So
1
you do
minute
warm up.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you'll warm up in the back for like 30 minutes or so until your flight's about to go, and then you've usually warmed up to within 20% of what your first lift's going to be. So the first lift, as you just kind of described, is something doable, but enough that your next jump's not going to be a shock. But then there's the competition side of it. So although powerlifting is probably as close a sport as you're going to get, where it really is you versus you. Like if someone can outlift you by 100 kilos, you're not going to all of a sudden perform that day.
Yeah.
It's not like fighting to a certain degree where you might get lucky. You might knock the guy out, or whatever. Even if the guy's better than you, you might pull something off. You're in it until you're not in a fight, right? No matter what. Whereas powerlifting, you go up and you will know some of the people's numbers. But some competitions you can get quite close, and that's where the last lift can become interesting, because although you're only at the squat point, you could go for a PB, but if you fail it, you only get scored on the number below. So then sometimes if it's close between you and another competitor, you're like, okay, let's go up a bit, but let's get something you can do, because we need to bank that number for the next lift until we get to deadlift, and then the competition might really start as like, have you got a chance of winning? That could be the difference between first, second, or third. So there is a technical kind of point to picking your lifts sometimes.
Yeah.
But then other times you might be so far ahead of the person below you and so far behind the person above, where it really is just you against you. You're going to finish that place anyway, so why not go for a PB? Because if you fail it, your total number doesn't really matter. So it depends what you're going for in any given competition.
And so the winner is the person with the highest DOT score. So a DOT score is basically your total, so your highest squat plus your highest bench plus your highest deadlift. And then there's a formula.
They just add all that together?
Yeah.
There's a formula as it relates to your body weight on the day.
So you've won competitions
As it
with
relates
with a smaller score
Yeah.
than competitions where you've had a bigger score but finished, let's say, third, because
Yeah.
there just happen to be stronger people in that competition, and that's why powerlifting is kind of can be a bit of a head fuck sometimes.
So like for when I competed in the Asia Championships, for example, it came up to the deadlift with me and some girl from Kazakhstan, and I squatted more than her, but she benched a little bit more than me, and so it came down to the deadlift, and we ended up deadlifting, I think, the same amount. And I was the final lift. After I went after her for my final deadlift, and I knew that I needed to deadlift just as much as she did, because my weight, I was lighter than her. I was like 0.5 kilos lighter than her, but I knew if I could just match her, I'd win.
Are there weight classes in weightlifting?
Yes.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, and you have to make weight. So the weight cutting process, the final week is similar to a fight. You weigh in 24 hours before. You want enough time to try and get your weight back on, because obviously weight matters against the weight that you're lifting.
They don't do that in jiu-jitsu.
So we take sometimes you
Yeah,
weigh
that's
in on the
rough.
day and then jump in. So we do a similar process. I mean, you don't have to kind of, cut as extreme. I don't think, but we do the salt bath and the towels, and we get the weight down that way over a sauna the night before.
Probably only sweat out 2.5 pounds.
We get the weight down quite close beforehand, not like that would be the big difference. We try and get the weight down a bit during that last week, and then it's just to get the last.
The thing is that whilst you're training in the lead up to a competition, you kind of want to be a little bit heavier because you're stronger. It's force versus force. So if you're heavier, then you should be able to kind of lift more. So in the process of kind of getting, and you want to be able to fuel your training. So so I tend to be a little bit heavier. But the weight categories here that I'm in the federation that I'm in now, are a lot lighter than what I've done in the past.
I see.
So the first competition we ever did was actually in Singapore in 2016. So we flew from Hong Kong to Singapore.
That was an experience.
That was an experience.
First place in the world ever went and got given a cup of coffee in a bag, plastic bag.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, what the fuck? A plastic bag and a straw.
Yeah.
I was looking all over the place for a coffee shop. I'm like, there's bound to be a Starbucks,
Yeah.
But this competition was in the middle of nowhere, Singapore. And they're like, yeah, there's a place you can go over there, and this old shack thing. I was like, can I just get a black coffee? And this thing came in a straw in a bag. I was like, what the fuck?
Just a Capri Sun.
He was so angry. Yeah,
Came
exactly.
back.
He was so angry. I'm there stressing about I'm making weight, and I need my
Just needed
carbs
a
to
coffee.
refuel. I need my
Complaining about
electrolytes,
coffee.
and he's just sat there bitching about coffee.
Can you
His
believe
coffee in a bag?
it's
Yeah.
in a bag?
You what? You what?
Wait, was the bag
What's
open,
this?
or was it like a
it's
sealed
just-
bag?
So it's like they kind of seal it up with a bit of string, and the straw sticks out.
And then
the
you
end.
just
So you just
Local.
drink out of
It's
the straw.
authentic.
It comes in it's a clear plastic
You
bag.
can't put
it's
it
not
down.
it's not like a Capri Sun cover. It's like it's a clear, like plastic bag.
We got it from you call it a kopitiam in Singapore and Malaysia. It's like
Kopitiam.
kopitiam.
There was a
Coffee
Starbucks
shop.
somewhere though, because I'm walking back with this fucking coffee in a bag, and then I saw another bunch of competitors, and they'd obviously found a Starbucks somewhere. I couldn't find it. My Google thing obviously wasn't working. I was so pissed off.
They're laughing at you as you
Because then
walk
I'm
by.
kind of rushing back and being like, oh, there's a fucking Starbucks somewhere, but I ain't got
This
time. I've got to
Westerner.
get back. Yeah. So how would you find, how are you finding jiu-jitsu and learning jiu-jitsu in comparison to like rugby and in comparison to powerlifting? Like, I feel like the sports you've done up until jiu-jitsu, you've naturally been good at quite quickly. Well, I know that's been the case because I know you. So, but explain, how are you finding jiu-jitsu in comparison to all that?
Jiu-jitsu is it's like a relationship. It's literally like a relationship. You have your good days, you have your off days, you have your frustrating days, and but I love it, and so it's just about showing up, consistently putting in the work, and just slowly. The progress is so slow. It's so much slower compared to all the other sports that I've ever done. Mm-hmm. And I grew up super sporty. I'd done basketball, swimming, athletics, trampolining.
So you
rugby.
would be Sporty Spice.
I was Sporty Spice. I was the tomboy at school, and I was very much my dad's daughter in terms of I'm gonna smash every sport and I'm gonna be the best, and that was me at
He
school.
would be Scary Spice, just putting that out there.
Yeah. When my mom first met him, she looked at him and was like, "If I saw you in the street, I would cross the road." My little
That was a great start.
She loves him. But yeah, no. So jiu-jitsu has just been so different in that regard. I've never felt so lost and out of my comfort zone than I have in jiu-jitsu. But but in a good way. It's refreshing. So yeah, it's been God, when did I start? it's been almost a year,
Mm-hmm.
I think, that I've been doing it.
December, yeah.
Yeah, but it's so much fun too, and I think it's
Not what you say on the drive home.
it's been
when you're
about.
frustrated.
I'm for the most part.
I've never known anyone so frustrated on the drive home.
I do get really
Every time.
frustrated.
Every time.
But that's me being competitive with myself.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what's been good for me in powerlifting, because I'm competitive with myself. So I want to see progress every single session.
Yeah.
But there's no real way of measuring that in jiu-jitsu.
No.
And that's what I think that's been the struggle for me. Just coming to terms with that and being kind of like what you were saying on like about enjoying the journey.
Mm-hmm.
And that change of pace has taken me so far out of my comfort zone, but in a good way. Like I know it's good for me, but
Makes
it's
me
also
laugh.
frustrating.
We drive home and I'll get that fucking move Coach Marco taught us. I can't get it to work. It doesn't work. Does it? I'm like, okay, first of all, are you sure you're doing it right? Because straight away, because you know what I mean. Because the thing straight into that thing the coach was teaching us, and we've all done it. I've done it. I can't get to it. Like, well, yeah, because all of a sudden now it's on. First of all, now it's on a live opponent. They don't want you to actually do it. Second of all, we're probably not doing it right. Right?
Yeah.
You get taught something once or twice, but it's straight away into that move doesn't work. Or it's like it will work. You find a way to make it work. But these things never work straight away. And I think your jiu-jitsu is probably one of the most frustrating sports in that.
Yeah.
Well, I get
In that way.
frustrated with myself because it's like, we just did that the other day. Why can't I remember it? What am I missing? Like, that foot placement, right?
Yeah.
Oh, my foot needs to go on your hip. That's why.
Well,
That's why
I
it's
blamed
not working.
everything for years as to why shit didn't work. It was never my fault. And then slowly you kind of like you start accepting the fact that okay, I'm probably not doing it right.
But
Check it
then,
out.
but
Or
then
I'm-
that satisfaction of
When you get it.
when you get it, is like, oh my god. I mean, John can tell you. I think we did maybe 3 jiu-jitsu sessions together in Hong Kong.
Don't tell the story.
I want to hear it.
Don't tell the story.
Tell me.
Years ago. I think this was this was in 2016, 2017. We were doing strongman together. I was trying to do powerlifting, and then then he took me for a jiu-jitsu class. And we were practicing a move, and I was with some other white belt girl, and this was at Versus in Hong Kong, and the coach Quinton was coaching, and we were drilling this move, and then we started rolling, and I think I did an arm bar.
You got an arm bar. We were doing arm bars for the whole class, and then we rolled.
I got an arm bar on a girl, and I started cheering. I was like,
Worst day of my
oh!
life.
I was like,
Worst day of my
yes, got it.
And I'm rolling
The
with-
coach like, hey,
Yeah.
did he
Well, Quinton's
say
quite
something?
chilled, so he kind of laughed, but was like, and I'm rolling like I heard it because I'm rolling with someone else, and I was just like, oh my fucking god. Because you think you get people ready to come to jiu-jitsu, and you think like I say, let's be a bit like this, and this is how it's going to go, and I thought I prepared you quite well, but you don't think about what people don't think about. Right?
Yeah.
And she's used to rugby.
You don't know,
rugby.
but they don't
I'm used to rugby,
you
right?
put the ball
Rugby,
down, you cheer, you
fist
high
bump,
five.
chest bump, yeah, you like do all this like hoorah.
Even in jiu-jitsu competitions, people tend not to like over celebrate. It's not like the UFC.
Yeah.
And I just remember, I don't know where I was in my role, but I remember hearing it. I was like, oh, you're fucking kidding me. I was like, oh, that was so bad.
And
Anyway.
him and Quinton come up to me afterwards and they're like, you don't do that.
You know what I'm saying?
Just chill.
I'm like,
You can be
what?
like, oh, cool, I got that one.
I'm like,
awesome.
what are you talking about?
Like,
They're like,
all the way
"You
home,
don't
I couldn't
do
let
that."
it go. I kept
No,
going on
can't
about
believe
He was
it. I was like,
you
I
did
can't
that,
believe-
Dani.
no.
kicking, yeah.
And looking
Nailed
back,
it.
you're like, look, it is what it is. You don't think competitive people and all this like you just don't think what people like. You were genuinely excited that you got the arm.
Yeah,
I was excited
It was
that I
nothing to do
remembered
with
it.
tapping the other girl. It was not. It wasn't that. Yes, I won. It was more. Yes, I nailed something I just got taught. But I was like, oh, I can't fucking believe you've just done that. Then I'm like, you're not coming to jiu-jitsu with me again.
No, and he's just going like, you fucking American. And I'm like, yeah, USA.
I said, he's almost the shortest jiu-jitsu career in living history. So I was
That's,
like, you're not coming with me again.
You're not coming back.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit more lenient with that stuff because I know how exciting it is to get
Yeah.
a submission, especially like your first like you're working for something so much, and if you get it against somebody who's like really good, and you guys get like a good roll, if you're like, I got it, like high five with the other person, like cool, whatever, you know. There have been some times when I've swept John and I pulled off an armbar, and I was like.
Oh, but how many times have you done this, right? This is what I used to do loads. Every time you pull something off on someone, especially if they're a little bit higher level or whatever, and you look to see if the coach saw it, and they're usually looking the other way.
Yeah, fucking
every single time they're working with someone else over there. I'm like,
I've looked over to see if Matt's watching, and then every time I'm like getting smashed or I get swept with something stupid, Matt's always like.
Exactly. That's when they're watching.
You're not watching when I get something, but
I fuck something up. I look up and they're staring at you like, shit, John.
There's some footage in the Speakeasy videos where like I'm wrestling with Pete and Pete's smashing me. You see Matt in the back, he's stretching. I'm getting smashed and he's just like.
Every time.
No, I'm still too busy trying to survive. Like I'm still at that point.
So now that you've been doing jiu-jitsu almost a year, you have. How many stripes now?
I have 1 stripe.
One stripe. That's great. There's a big difference between a 1 stripe white belt and a no stripe white belt. Stripes in jiu-jitsu are depending on where you go. Some gyms are just like a stripe for you, and like some people have like 10 stripes on their belts.
Like Oprah. Everyone gets a stripe.
Everyone gets a stripe today.
Well, this is where my conversation about stripes came from. Because this is like Dani, like for months going home, not understanding.
Why don't I have a stripe? Yes.
Not in a bad way, but I was finding it hard to explain sometimes. Yeah. But not because of how it's done here or anything. It's more like you say nowadays with social media, you see your friends, different gyms, different places. You know quite a few people that do jiu-jitsu, around the world, right? So there's this. Well, how come they? And you don't know how much they're training, how much they're doing, but it can sometimes that perception of, well, I've been doing it as long as them. How, so that's where some of that conversation kind of came from.
Don't compare
initially.
yourself.
Well, that's the thing. I think for me, it's, I think that's why I look at competing, because to me, competing is validation. Like, okay, I did that. I can do that. I've done that lift. That's
We know that you compete every time you fucking roll.
Every time we roll.
No, can you just slow down and take it easy? Like there's no ref, there's no fans.
Not with you.
Like just.
You have fans here, don't worry.
Oh yeah,
there's plenty of us who are like, yes, Danny, she got something today, or man, I got smashed by Danny today. Like we know.
You have got a good side control. Your side control is fucking dangerous.
It's not a good side control. It's a devastating side control.
That's my comfort. That's like my happy place. I'm like, I'll just hang out here.
Like I bet like if we give you a watermelon, you could just destroy it, crush it.
Try that one
day. We should try it like with. I want to try it with the triangle, and I want to try it with like the forearm.
I'll never
I wonder
get
if
it
I
on
can
triangle.
do it.
There's no chance.
No, I feel like I could. Because my legs are like sharp.
You could. But both of you could. I don't think I could.
No. So you've been doing it for almost a year. You've got a stripe. You can feel the difference when somebody brand new comes in.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Isn't that insane? Like people are always like, I don't feel like I'm progressing.
Yeah.
And then somebody new joins the gym, and then you're like, you're walking around the gym.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go. No, it's funny. Like at training last night, there was someone new, and we started off with flow rolling.
Yeah.
And the guy that I was with was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm like, this was me a couple of months ago. He's like, what do I do? I'm like, just move. And I'm like, I sound like John.
just
move.
Keep moving. That's too hard.
Yeah,
just
exactly.
Keep
Shrimp. Shrimp for your life.
Yeah, that's the answer to it.
Shrimp again.
If you're on your back, that's the answer.
Just always say shrimp.
Yeah, shrimp or a bridge or shrimp. When in doubt, bridge or shrimp. Having rolled with somebody like Julianne, who we've had on the podcast before, and she's one of our assistant coaches here, and fantastic human as well, and just a beast on the mats, and really technical, and she was kind of like a project for myself. I showed her a lot of really important jiu-jitsu. I made sure that she had the foundations in and out, and she was helping me with the Zoom classes. And so we had a lot of time together where I could basically give her like 15-minute private lessons here and there, 20-minute stuff, and give her projects to work on while rolling. So she progressed crazy fast.
Yeah.
And having someone like Julianne, who's maybe, she's like me. We don't weightlift. we don't weightlift, so we have to be really technical. Having rolled with her, seeing the technicality, I've seen the growth in you as well, and now you're starting to be like really technical with a lot of the passing, especially being heavy in mount and like having a good understanding of that stuff.
Yeah.
Do you find yourself sometimes relying on strength and having to remind yourself to rely on the technique, or do you?
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. Sometimes like, all right, okay, now I'm just muscling it. Now I'm just using brute strength to try and get out of this. So it's really fun rolling with Julianne because she is so technical, but then consciously trying not to use strength, which is hard. Which is hard when you're getting like when she's trying to like choke you out or whatever.
Oh, she's using strength.
It's like, okay, just what can I do here?
Yeah, Julianne's strong in a different way.
Yeah.
Like Julianne's like stubborn strong.
Mm-hmm.
So she creates positions, frames, won't let go of certain things, and so it's a different kind of strength.
And she has a gas tank.
Yes.
She's like in Terminator 2, the bad guy, the liquid dude who just keeps coming at you. She's like that.
Yeah, I think she's getting tired, and I'm like, she'll let go of this in a minute. No, it's not happening. Whereas, like you say, you when you do use too much burst, which is no different than me, that's when you'll slow down and get tired. But I also think when you slow down and get tired, you actually roll better. Because then you have no choice but to take your strength.
Yeah, so, I feel like when you get tired, John, you control the round a lot more because you'll find a spot like side control or mount and then just
hang out.
It's like a waterbed from hell. And I just can't get him off of me. And he's like, I'm not doing this on purpose, I'm just tired. And I'm like, okay, I'm tired too.
No, I always feel like around last couple of rounds, round 4 and 5.
Yeah.
Is usually when I'm kind of at my best because I'm a little tired, but so is everybody else. But all of a sudden, I almost simplify everything even more.
And your technique is good.
Yeah, so
you're not rushing anything. Your grips are good. Yeah, we've had a couple of really good rolls the past few weeks.
Yeah.
Like really good rolls. This last weekend, Saturday, I drove home frustrated because I was like, how come I couldn't get John?
Saturday was a good day. I had a good
Saturday,
day.
You were doing great. Yeah.
When you have one of those days, but also the order.
Yeah,
I'd kind of gone in helped. I think I got you maybe last, so I'd gone through the purple, brown, black, and then you.
Yeah.
So I kind of got you last, so I switched on. And I do think that can make a difference sometimes, who you've rolled with previously and going into the next round, depending on what you did.
Mm-hmm.
You have 2 or 3 lazy rounds and then all of a sudden the level fucking shoots up and you start again like that. And it's hard work. So.
I rolled with Beto. I rolled with Pete, Black Belt Pete, and then I rolled with you at the end.
We did the same round.
I like rolling with Pete.
Pete's a monster.
Me and Pete have some good rounds.
Pete has like the best base and the reach, and he's so smart with the way that he just moves around you, and he's so just like...
He's inch.
The whole time,
It's so chill.
Good.
Yeah. One question, being a woman on the mats...
Yeah.
And, it's noticeable in any jiu-jitsu gym you walk into that women are usually the least amount of numbers on the mats. Do you think, did that deter you at all? Do you think that should deter anybody from training jiu-jitsu? I think our foundations class right now has our biggest population of women in the class, and it's really awesome. And I can't wait for them to graduate into the later class because I know you and Julianne and Tiana need more women to roll with because I think it's important.
Yeah, for sure.
Some people talk about doing like a women's only class, and I want to get that going at the gym eventually because I know that a lot of women that are starting jiu-jitsu feel comfort in training with other women because, it's strange getting into another sweaty dude's guard. And
that's what a lot of women say to me, like, I don't want to have a bunch of sweaty men all over me. Yeah. I'm like,
I think it's a tough one, right?
It is.
Because we discussed, I remember us discussing this a little bit at Hybrid back when we opened, should we have women's only stuff? And I was kind of like, I get it from a business point of view because I think it might be an entry point. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I think it defeats the object. Mm-hmm. Because if you're trying to, the whole point of jiu-jitsu, is there is the self-defense element, there is the street element, there is the, and 9 times out of 10, well probably more, 9 times out of 100, the female might have a problem with a guy. Yeah. Right? So if you only ever rolled with women, is that going to help you when you go up against someone with a load of strength, maybe? Yeah,
I'm not the kind of girl to be like, I want to go to the women's only class. Like, I've never been that kind of person. Yeah. I was raised by a single mom, and so my mom always told me, like, you can do anything that the guys do. you should try, at least try, and do anything that the boys do. And so that's kind of what started me with down the route of, you know, being super athletic, but then rugby, strength sport, powerlifting, strongman, all that kind of stuff. And so then coming to jiu-jitsu, where it was a bunch of guys and me and Julianne, wasn't a big deal. But yeah, I personally wouldn't be attracted to a women's only class, but like you said, I can see how it would be a good entry point for a lot of women. But no, it's definitely something that I definitely think every woman should kind of at least try, and learn some of the basics for some sort of body awareness as well, and awareness of someone else's body, and just ways to get out of positions, because so many of the things that we learn are like counterintuitive, and that's been like a big adjustment for me. Like, oh, just because he's got his hand on me here, it doesn't mean that I should just hold on to his hand. You know, there's certain other things that you can do. But yeah, I think BJJ is great for every woman should learn it.
Yeah. Did you feel, I mean, you trained jiu-jitsu before you came here, but did you feel comfortable walking into the class? Were you nervous? And now, compared to now, I mean, obviously you're way more comfortable. You walk in like you're just part of the family, because you are. Did you have that initial hesitation to come back to jiu-jitsu, especially having cheered getting an armbar at another gym and having Jon be your coach and husband?
No, I mean, everyone was super, super friendly coming in. I mean, I think that's the nice thing about...
Okay, good. I don't have to
have words. But no, I mean, everyone's incredibly welcoming and friendly, and you know, you fist bump, you get down on the mats, and everyone's just learning. It's I think it's that kind of environment and community that you've done a great job in cultivating. That, you know, stepping in the second time wasn't a hesitation. If anything, I think the only thing I was then paranoid about was, okay, etiquette. Like, okay, do I bow before I get onto the mat?
Yeah.
Like, what do I do with the shoes? Like, what's happening? How do I tie my belt? And those kind of things. Yeah. Where it's just the etiquette of what are you meant to do. Yeah. But that didn't stop me.
The only thing I'm kind of a stickler for is bow on and off the mats, say hello to everybody, wear shoes in the bathroom. Yeah. That's it. Even that last one was a little hard for Jon to get for a little bit of time.
But yeah, no, everyone's been fantastic. I mean, and even starting jiu-jitsu during COVID, during lockdown, with and it was us and the police rolling around, was like, okay, all right, this is badass. All right, let's do this.
Yeah, I think you've come a long way since having cheered for an armbar. Now armbars are a regular part of your jiu-jitsu routine.
Trying to be a little bit more technical with them, but
you caught me in one a while back. I think it was maybe about a month or so ago, and I was so happy. I'm always happy when you guys get me in submissions. I get a little frustrated when it's like brown and black belts, but at the same time I'm like, yes, yes, because Nat Parks has told me before that I'm really hard to submit when I don't want to get submitted. Yeah. Like when I'm like defending, I'm really good at getting out of positions. So when my higher ranked students, I'm like, damn, they got me, because I was really trying, but at the same time I'm like, damn, they got me. Yeah. All right. So, if you ever feel frustrated on the mats, or you feel like you're not understanding something, you're driving home and you're angry with the way that you were rolling, and you're just caught in your own head, just know that that's completely normal.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of embrace it, or try to embrace it as like, this is part of it. Yeah. This is just part of the journey, right? You know, you talk about being humble.
We get humble all the time.
Exactly, and that's just part of it. So that's been the learning curve for me with jiu-jitsu, and that's
we've set off driving home in absolute silence for about 5 minutes. I can tell, and I'm like, don't ask. I'm like, okay, go on, what's the problem? And then it all blurts out, this happened. I'm like,
yes, but these are good.
But we get it. It's quite good because we get most of it out. You get most of it out before we get home. Yeah. So that drive home actually kind of works, because okay,
it's
Ben,
a buffer.
Get all your frustration out, whatever it is. I've got no answer for you, because you know what my answer's going to be. But And then we park up and it's like, right, okay, done.
Sometimes you just need somebody to listen. Sometimes you just need somebody to get.
Or like last night we didn't have a great round.
Oh, when you guys were rolling, yeah. How is that? So how is it rolling with a spouse? Because I've talked a little bit about this with like when I roll with my wife, because she doesn't train in the group classes. She only wants to do private lessons. But she says I could be mean, even though I'm training her the way I would you guys, and I don't feel there's a difference. But she has like a standard of, because I'm very loving with my wife, and you know I treat her very well, and then suddenly I'm smashing her face into my shoulder, or driving my knee into her belly, or I'm putting a choke on her, and she's like, "Oh my God, this hurts so much." But then, kind of the same way too, I feel like everything she does to me really hurts me. I'm like, "Take care of me, please." But you know,
I feel like he's extra hard on me, but from what everyone tells me, it sounds like everyone else feels the same way. You're just hard. Me? You're just hard to roll with. You're just You're just a black belt.
I think like what I find difficult, which I know is not a question, is not necessarily aimed at me, but I find it difficult because you're so like 100 mile an hour, and you do use strength, which is not a bad thing. But so for me sometimes my only frustration is like slow the fuck down, because I especially as I'm a little older, if I'm a bit cold, said this last night. This is what pissed me off last night. I came in tired, everything was hurting, my body wasn't quite fucking feeling it last night, and you fucking launched all over me, and a couple of places you landed and jumped, I was like, fuck, you know. And my reaction at that point is not right. I should have just said, look, just slow down. Take it easy, but I was like, okay, there's two ways to learn to slow down, and I was annoyed last night, so my way last night was to like submit you about 4 or 5 times. Because I was like,
which then I got angry.
You're gonna have to learn.
What are you doing?
Yeah. So I'm like, I can keep saying either slow down, slow down, slow down.
Did you say slow down?
No, but I have done before. So, and last night I was just in the mood. I wasn't feeling it, and I was just kind of like, right, okay, if you're not going to listen to me say slow down, I'll show you how to slow down. And I felt bad afterwards. So this is the thing, and it always happens that I was a bit rough last night.
Oh, you acknowledge it. Yeah. Excellent. This is progress.
No, but I felt like shit after. I felt like shit after that round. I went on. I can't remember who I rolled with next, but then I was conscious of how that had gone. I was like, okay, that was shit. I was potentially a bit of a dick then.
Yeah. White belts need to experience that though.
But at the same time,
I acknowledge that. I acknowledge that. I am meant to be tapping.
Yeah. But at the same time...
Quite a few times, right?
Well, in my defense, it's actually really hard to put a submission on softly on you. Now, most people, I will put submissions on fairly softly. But you're that stubborn and you fight it that hard that I'm like, if you're going to fight it this hard, when it goes on, you're going to think I've tried to hurt you. And I know that. And that's the only issue. Because I have to finish it. Well, I don't. I could let it go, but my ego won't allow that.
I was going to say, so see how we kind of turned that into it being my fault? Because I'm stubborn.
Yeah. No, but sometimes people will accept they're in a bad position, and I can put it on fairly slowly, and then they tap.
But then conversely, if I tap too early, I also get scolded.
Why did you tap?
Why did you tap? You could have gotten out of that.
That's true, because I have had the conversation of, look, if you can, try not to tap. Try to hold on to things.
Basically, I can't win.
No.
You are winning. You are winning. You're going to be...
But you are like I said,
steal.
you know, I have to, unlike, I do have to try and put things on. If I want to finish, I have to put it on. And unfortunately, in the process of doing that, it comes across like it hurts.
Yeah.
And it's not really meant to, but if there's a lesson in there at some point, that is going to happen at some point, rolling with other people.
The last time
it's just more emotional when it's,
The last time I rolled with my wife, we were doing a private lesson, and I had her in side control. And I'm heavy in side control. And she was trying to get out, she's trying to move, trying to bridge, trying to turn. She just wasn't. She may be stuck there for like 30 seconds, but that's an eternity. And she was already, this was like the end of the roll, and I had her there. She finally was just like, get the fuck off me! Like, I get up, I was like, you okay? She goes, I just couldn't breathe. I was like, okay.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard not taking it personal when it's your partner.
And you know what it is too, is if I were rolling with you and you were that tired, and you were hurting, you'd probably just keep moving through it. But because it's a spouse, it's weird how it feels. I don't know what it is. Yeah, completely
it's
different.
Totally different. It is weird.
I don't understand it either.
Yeah, I would never react like I was thinking about it actually. Maybe this morning. I think about the amount of times I've ever got really aggressive in a role, and it's not many. Not many where I've gone, because first of all, I've never really trained anywhere where there's been anyone on the mat that I've kind of particularly disliked for whatever reason. So it's never got personal, and I've had some fucking seriously intense roles.
Yeah.
But I can count on one hand how many times I've got really aggressive, where I've gone, you know what, I'm going to smash the fuck out of you for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And it's usually the odd time someone frustrates me, like certain positions, someone does lockdown. I get really fucking annoyed. Because I'm like, look, the only way I'm going to get out of this is to make you really uncomfortable.
I'm going to hurt. Yeah.
Oh wait, so last night was one of those times?
What, with you?
Yeah.
No, not with you, but
okay.
I was in a mood in a general last night. I was tired. In fact, I didn't come in a mood. I was just tired. And when I started rolling, I realised I was not in the right frame of mind.
You can feel it, yeah.
And everything I did, it wasn't just you. My next couple of rounds, I was not on purpose. My next couple of rounds, I was being a little overly aggressive because I was tired. I couldn't be arsed being technical. So I was a bit like, okay.
So last night you were being strong.
Yeah. No, I acknowledged it to myself on the way home. I knew I had a bad night because I was like, okay, nothing I did tonight. I kind of.
No,
I didn't have a hard time, but nothing I did last night was really technical.
Yeah.
Nothing I did last night was of any use long term. It was just me going, fuck it, I can't be asked being technical. I don't want to lose, and this is how I'm feeling tonight. And bad.
I think we all need days like that though, and we need to learn to roll tired, and we need to learn to roll frustrated and kind of just dragging ass, because that's when our weaknesses are exposed and we know what to work on. We know how to work through it, and sometimes we rely on our physical attributes rather than our technique, and then we know it exposes everything, right? Even myself. I don't know what physical attributes I have, but I know that I'm really good at setting up people to make mistakes. And so if I just want to, I'll make people post, and I'll go for as many chokes as I can, knowing that it's not really fair to do that to a white belt that's maybe outweighs me by like 40 pounds, but I'll submit them 10, 15 times in a round. Maybe I should have let them work a little bit more.
Yeah. Well, that's what I left last night going, I didn't enjoy winning those rounds.
Yeah.
There's a time where I go, you know what, when I want to be able to go away going, I had good rounds without particularly having to try.
Yeah.
Or I had good rounds with evenly matched people whereby, I was thinking technically about how to stay in good position. Then I'll go away feeling good. Like I say, last night I actually went away feeling bad, and it's not like if someone was kind of just watching, it would have looked much different. But I knew what I was doing. Yeah. And I was like, this is not making me any better doing training this way.
But otherwise, we have had very good rounds.
We've had some good rounds.
We've had some good rounds, and especially when I was injured, we were doing a lot of just technique, right? Just position stuff, which was really beneficial. I really benefited from that and enjoyed that. So that I think that was good for our jiu-jitsu relationship.
But I think that when you roll, I always have better rolls with you last. So if I've rolled with,
because you guys rolled first last time, right?
Yeah, I think first, because I always
never
see,
again.
It was a fucking mistake.
Never
yeah,
again.
because I always see my first round as a bit of a warm-up round. I don't care who I've got. I don't care if it's high level or low level. For me, I'm warming up because I'm fucking old. So if someone doesn't give me time to warm up, I get pissed off. But that's me, because it's not spoken.
They don't even know.
I didn't tell them I'm warming up.
I forgot to turn on my mind reader skills.
But generally I can control someone to warm up, right? Whereas you're hard, because you just go bam, 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 and I'm just like, fuck's sake, I'm trying to loosen off here, trying to get warm in my mind.
I've always been all or nothing.
Yeah.
I'm
so whereas when
if
I get you in the last round, it's cool, because I've used my energy.
Yeah.
I've used my energy. I've had some tough rounds with everybody else, and I get you in. Then my mind's, okay, it's a cool down round. Let her do what she wants.
Yeah.
Then it works better.
Cool down round.
Cool down.
How dare you?
Yeah. Sorry.
Well, now that we have aired out all of the mat issues that we've had, I'm glad that you guys are working really well together.
We should film the fucking drive home. That'd be a totally different conversation.
But it is really good to see couples like you guys working on the mats. We have several other couples on the mats too that work together, and it makes me happy that we have a gym where you guys feel comfortable being able to work together and being in class, and also you're very fortunate that you have a great coach of a husband and a black belt, and I didn't have that, so I didn't have my significant other to be able to help me with my jiu-jitsu whenever I needed it.
Yeah.
So, and also I really like these stories because they're also funny. They're very funny. Well, thank you, Dani, for coming in.
Thank you.
Thank you for being an awesome human. Thank you for being a great student, and for sharing a little bit about your life. And we'd love to have you back on the mats. And I mean, not on the mats, but on the podcast. I always want you on the mats and rolling. But especially when we go to your gym.
Yeah.
To film the podcast.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, to either have you lifting weights in the back or in the actual podcast.
Cheesing in the background.
I'm really excited to do that too, because it'll be my first time at the gym as well. So if you'd like to let people know what's going on in your life, you're competing soon, and where they can find you on social media as well.
Cool. Okay, cool. We're doing this. All right. I'm on Instagram at Dani Means, and I'll be competing on November 4th at the USPA World Champions in Costa Mesa. Mesa?
Costa Mesa.
Costa Mesa.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's it.
Awesome. Well, thank you.
That was awesome.
If you like this video, remember to subscribe. Leave a comment down below. Let us know what topics you guys would like us to cover. Thank you for watching this episode. I know our episodes are like an hour and a half sometimes long. If you guys would like us to make them shorter or make them longer, or you like the way that we're doing it, please let us know down in the comments. Also follow us on Instagram. We get updates, or you'll get updates for the podcast there. We are looking to getting the podcast on Spotify and on iTunes and anywhere else you get your audio media at. So thank you for going on this journey. I know this is like episode number 5, I believe. So thank you guys. We appreciate all of you.
Awesome. Thank you.